Due to recent COVID-19 concerns causing more schools to shut down and students to move online, Google Classroom has seen a rapid influx of new users all over the world. This introduced the world of online classrooms to many teachers, and some have decided to keep using it as schools reopen. We have found that Google Classrooms is effective for student learning as it is highly accessible, increases engagement, and allows for feedback. These themes can increase overall student achievement. The following presentation will address these themes in further detail and provide an action plan based on the findings.
The literature surrounding the use of online platforms to improve accessibility to the delivery of content supports the further use of such platforms in the context of education. The first key point highlighted in the literature review was how the implementation of these online platforms can affect the outcomes, such as the ability of a staff to consistently upload all materials and effectively use the technology or not. This in turn can either cause distractions associated with technology or avoid them. The adaptability of these online platforms was also highlighted to a great extent by the literature that examined their use during the current COVID-19 pandemic worldwide. It was found that even in nations with less access to IT and internet, the uptake and effectiveness of online platform implementation went up in both high school or higher education contexts. The application of project-based learning was also mentioned as a key teaching pedagogy that can be improved with online platforms, as all progress and key content can be uploaded and downloaded throughout the runtime of the project, improving the accessibility of it.
As teachers become more familiar with Google Classrooms, they can utilize many different tools available to them to teach and assess students. Teachers can deliver ideas more effectively to students and engage with them in multiple ways. Hajjar et al. 2020 found that students adapted quickly to engaging with all content as it was provided to them in a way that was easy to keep track of, both by students and teachers. Students were self-reliant and completed required tasks when they could. Google Classrooms is a fantastic platform to practice UDL, Universal Design for Learning, and engage all students. With Google Classrooms, it is possible to have multiple means of engagement, representation, and expression. This can be done by allowing students to learn through a variety of resources, interact with a variety of activities, and use different skills to create presentations to express their knowledge. Creating an online learning environment with UDL in mind results in students being meaningfully engaged and holds all students to a high expectation. Engagement is highly important in education as it positively affects learning outcome, retention, persistence, and behavior management. Due to much of this topic being subjective, it is difficult to judge how engaged a student is quantitatively. Therefore, most data collected on this topic is qualitative. For example, Kirpanon et al. 2019 collected class engagement data based on observations. He observed students to collect evidence of engagement, collaboration, and interactions. A similar observation method was used in this presentation to support our action plan. We hypothesized that students may be disengaged if given the chance due to the easy access of sources of off-task entertainment online.
Feedback is a crucial element within the learning cycle for students. It increases reflection, in turn leading to academic improvement as highlighted by Quinton and Smallbone. Student reflection is necessary for students to develop higher order and critical thinking skills. Without reflection, students will continue to perform skills in the same way and avoid challenging their own understanding of content and their opinions as they have no reason to change. The cloud-based nature of Google Classroom means teachers can receive online submissions of work from students at any time of day. Teachers can download this work directly, so a full digital record is maintained for each student, as well as providing an online copy should the download be lost. Feedback in any form is beneficial to students. However, the addition of a digital feedback provides access whenever students need. Khalil points out that this removes issues with access when students are absent when feedback is given, have had a large break since receiving the feedback, or find verbal communication and feedback difficult to follow, with students highlighting the beneficial nature of this for their learning. The most effective style of feedback provides individuals with information regarding their learning process and how to improve in the future by relating it to current experiences. This means that the more frequently it's provided, the more inclined students are to use it, and the online nature of Google Classroom feedback increases the frequency of it being provided by teachers. To be most effective, however, it should be provided to students in a variety of means. Multimodal feedback allows students to better access what is provided to them, whether it be written comments, written examples, or direct annotations. Additional to teacher-based feedback is the ability for peer-based feedback. The ability for students to gain this directly from their peers provides additional value to the feedback being provided.
My chosen literature have identified many positives associated with Google Classroom use. Iftikhar 2016 states, there are a plethora of positives as it pertains to Google Classroom use, including allowing for a student-centered approach, providing students with timely feedback, enhanced student academic achievement, ease of implementing differentiation, and increased student interest and engagement. Modshirani Jamil Mohammed Rodzi 2016 states, Google Classroom is an effective pedagogical tool which shifts the focus of the classroom from teacher-centered to student-centered. This platform allows dialogue and open learning to transpire, which empowers students to be active participants in their learning process. Google Classroom increases the ease with which teachers can facilitate student-centered learning and enables activities that are collaborative and cooperative based in nature to occur. Pappas 2015 states, Google Classroom allows teachers to check work that has been submitted or in progress and provides instant feedback to students. Hattie and Timperley 2007 states, feedback is one of the most powerful influences on learning and student achievement. Providing timely feedback to students allows teachers to understand and identify potential gaps in what is understood and what is not understood. Algazoni and Anderson 2007 states, through utilising Google Classroom, teachers can tailor the learning environment to ensure all students with a variety of learning styles, interests, abilities and preferences are catered for. Azhar and Iqbal 2018 states, through Classroom, teachers can easily and effectively differentiate instructions to all students. Al-Maroof and Al-Emran 2018 states, students prefer the engagement in Google Classroom, whereby teachers assume a more passive role and students a more active role. The use of Google Classroom ensures more student-led and student-centered learning to occur. Lee and Zhu 2018 states, there is a positive correlation between the use of Google Classroom and the engagement and academic achievement of students. There is a clear link between the use of Classroom and enhanced student engagement levels. Through analysing many sources of research, there seems to be a clear correlation between the use of Google Classroom and an increase in academic achievement. Goals of action. To plan and implement an action plan to facilitate the effective delivery of online learning in Western Sydney schools. We will implement an action research plan over the course of the year at a school located in Western Sydney for our respective classes and teaching areas, with a particular focus upon the impact of Google Classroom use within classrooms through the comparison of classes that do and don't currently utilise the Google Classroom platform. This action plan will focus upon accessibility, engagement and feedback as a means of improving the academic achievement of students.
The common theme amongst all interviewees in response to the interviews on the accessibility of online learning was a strong positive attitude towards content being uploaded to an online platform, either Google Classroom or Blackboard, with all agreeing it assisted accessibility to some extent. Reception to online learning as the sole content delivery was mixed, with participants mostly preferring a balanced approach between online delivery and face-to-face, such as having all content uploaded online and classes recorded in the case of university students. The use of online platforms during COVID-19, as outlined in the literature review, was a smooth transition and made coping with the pandemic easier without sacrificing education. For university students, travel and other time commitments meant that the online convenience was a positive, especially regarding travel. However, participant number 1 specifically felt disengaged and had issues learning online in their degree. Another key point was staff technological knowledge having an impact on the effectiveness of this online learning, with distractions becoming a key issue when this was lacking, which supports the literature.
An observation was conducted of 6 students in a Year 8 science class. They were tasked with several online activities outlined and submitted on Google Classrooms. Students were given computers to access these tasks with minimal supervision to allow for more natural results of what students will do when provided with online access. Notes were taken for each student every 10 minutes to record their engagement throughout the lesson. Students were tasked with logging onto Google Classrooms, completing a diagnostic test, creating a PowerPoint based on individual research, and then the lesson ended with a Kahoot quiz. 4 out of 6 students were on task and engaged throughout the lesson. Both students that disengaged for much of the lesson re-engaged in the lesson at the commencement of the Kahoot activity. These results have indicated that students, when given the opportunity, may become disengaged, but online learning allows for multiple means of engagement, which may get students back on task with highly engaging resources.
This aspect of the study collected student tasks on the same topic, assessing which aspects of the task were and were not included across the tasks, in this case aspects of scientific graphs. Students were given a mark for each aspect included within the activity to reflect the marking style of an exam, with partial marks provided where necessary. Students' results in the pre-feedback and post-feedback 1 tasks demonstrated little change regardless of verbal feedback. Results post-feedback 2, however, saw all students improve and have more consistent results, reflecting a better understanding. Additional feedback would need to focus on select unmet criteria, with few of these areas not being present in previous attempts. This summary highlights the progressive improvement of student scores and consistency once moving into the higher levels. While percentages between post-feedback 1 and post-feedback 2 do not always increase, it can be seen that these students were meeting more aspects of their graph, and the lack of percentage increase was due to the additional graphing aspects requiring a higher value being assessed with more difficult data sets.
Upon the close analysis of my data, there were several prevalent themes that emerged. These themes included: all participants use Google Classroom on a daily basis. All participants indicated that they believed the strengths of Google Classroom to be the ability to view student work at all times, as well as being able to provide instant, constructive and timely feedback to students. Responders indicated weaknesses to include connection issues, as well as possible distractions from games. All participants indicated that Google Classroom enabled a student-centered approach and was great for allowing social learning and group work to occur in the classroom. All agreed it was easier to differentiate through the use of Google Classroom and was much easier to assign different work to meet the needs of each student. All responders indicated that using Google Classroom allowed the process of feedback and formative assessment to occur in a more timely and constructive manner. Teachers agreed in this interview that Google Classroom was a great tool to engage students on the whole, although the reliance upon technology and computers could increase disengaged behaviour through temptations such as online games. The primary teachers who responded to this interview both agreed that Google Classroom was great for student achievement, whilst the secondary teachers both agreed that whilst it improved certain elements of student academic achievement, it also reduced the literacy skills of students through the use of corrective language.
Moving forward, we want to incorporate the study into Western Sydney schools to develop staff and student understanding of Google Classroom and increase the frequency of its use across all Western Sydney schools. Teachers, particularly the head teachers, need to be aware of how Google Classroom is being used, as well as how frequently it's incorporated. Additionally, they need to know how students are engaging with the platform, including the frequency of uploading tasks, the quality of the work being completed, results obtained from student work, and when students become disengaged with the tasks. This would include having both class teachers and head teachers of the subject having access to the relevant Google Classrooms to observe and monitor activity on the platform. To encourage schools to incorporate Google Classroom into their programs on a regular basis, further study needs to be conducted. Classes of similar ability and behaviour level would be of focus, comparing lessons of similar design, but some classes using Google Classroom and others running the lessons without. From here, observations can be made of any major differences in the accessibility of the work, student engagement levels, provision and use of feedback, and overall influence on student improvement and achievement. By doing so, this should provide additional insight into the benefits of Google Classroom, in turn providing schools additional reasoning to incorporate it into their schools.